And right now it's time for that time when we talk to our special guest. Tonight our special guest is David Burt. David heads up the event centre at the Auckland Council and coordinates the Auckland Heritage Festival. How important is our heritage? Very, according to David, and has prepared more than 200 events to prove it. This is Baby Boomer Heaven, and it's all detailed at heritagefestival.co.nz. David Burt, welcome to The Beat Goes On.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Good to meet
See you, David. Wow, we're talking about heritage today. Auckland Heritage Festival. But first of all, David, you are the man that if anything happens in Auckland and you need a permit and it's like having a picnic on the beach, you come and see your department at Auckland Council. Is that right, David?
Yeah, well, not for a picnic, because we encourage people to go out and enjoy the regional parks and the beaches, and everyone should be able to do that, and they can. No, the permitting side for events is when a community group or the private sector, a larger event, want to have the private use of a public open space like a beach or a road for a certain period. So then they need a permit, and we probably process about 2,000 to 3,000 of those a year.
Wow. That's a big department, isn't it? This is at Auckland Council. And what's the department called, David?
It's the events department.
It's the events department.
Yeah.
And you head it up.
Yeah. In addition to that, of course, Jared, we actually put on quite a few events for the community and the local boards, and for at a regional level as well. So that's the exciting.
So what are some of the biggies over the year? So there's
in addition to the Heritage Festival, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, we also do the music in movies and parks.
Now that's huge, isn't it?
The movies are really popular. We'd get 2,500 coming along to a place like Milford Beach on a Friday night, and I remember this show, I went along to that one, it was The Great Gatsby, and it's really neat that families come along and have a picnic and the kids are there and have a glass of wine with friends. So we put on about 19 or 20 of those over the summer period. Music's a lot bigger.
That's big, isn't it? Yeah.
We run about close to about 40 of them from some quite big events, the old perennial favourites like Midge Marsden, a bit of the blues at Blockhouse Bay. Yeah, he's a good man, Midge. Through to jazz in the rotunda up at the Domain on a Sunday, really popular. Usually about 8 to 1,200 people there for those. But there is a challenge, of course, to keep things happening in the winter. And so there's things like the Heritage Festival that lead into that period are important.
We'll lead on to that, and that's why you're here today, David. We wanted to talk to you about heritage. Now, this is a Baby Boomer chat show, and the older you get, you start to become interested in your history, don't you? It's when you're young, it just seems to everything flashes by and you don't take any notice. But I'm astounded at this booklet. How many events are occurring from a heritage point of view? I mean, it's just pages of it. And behind every event, there's a group of people, a community, a group of people that are getting together and promoting. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you coordinate all these people?
Well, I've got two wonderful staff that pull it all together. The key thing with the Heritage Festival is it's the council. We take an overview. We actually, I suppose, create the umbrella that we do we organise the sort of marketing and the organisation of the festival, but we don't actually deliver it ourselves. So we put out a request for proposals, and this year we had 212 community groups all wanting to participate. And when you add all that up, between them, they're putting on over 700 individual performances, talks, walks, a whole range of things. Yeah. And it's happening all over Auckland, and it's just a wonderful way of engaging with the community and celebrating heritage. There's a real interest in it.
Some people couldn't give a toss about it, could they? They'll see a beautiful old building and say, hey, make room for the new. But there's a tremendous, the Historic Places Society, these people. What is this passion that they have for retaining the old and understanding our history? What do you think it is?
I think actually that was an Irish friend of mine once told me it's very hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you come from. He of course said it in a much better Irish level. He's actually the Irish consul for Auckland, Rodney Walsh, but he's quite right. And I think that, as you said earlier, as you get older, you do start to value the past, because it does provide an anchor. And there's been quite a lot of controversy in Auckland with the loss of some heritage buildings, and people are starting to, in the community, are saying enough's enough, let's value what we've got. So the idea behind the Heritage Festival is to celebrate it, is to actually increase the understanding and learning about it. And one of the really key elements in that is to get the kids involved, because I think if we can get the young people to sort of understand the history and value it, then we've got a chance, I suppose, of increasing the awareness within the community, and that over time those elements of our past will be valued.
Well, they're coming back to Anzac Day, aren't they? They're in their droves, the young people. So it does work, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly does, and but I think it's not a matter of, and that's one of the other things about the Heritage Festival, it's not just a matter of looking at things. What we're trying to do is to involving the community, and the groups are right into it, is to make it alive and to tell the stories. And I think that's the really key element of the Heritage Festival. It's the stories. So you get something like, take for example, St Kevin's Arcade.
Exactly.
A wonderful old arcade.
Karanga Happy Road.
Yeah, K Road. Now, so they've got two things going. They've got a whole history and talk about St Kevin's, but to make it alive on the Friday night, I think it's the 3rd of October, which by the time this goes to air may have been, but they've got St Kevin's swings. So you can, for $20, you can buy a ticket and get along, dress up in your costumes, and the whole arcade is going to be full of music and dancing and food and just people out having a good time. Yeah,
so you're living the experience. So instead of, if you went there, say 5 weeks later, there's nobody there to tell you anything about the history. So but it's these people that say behind the St Kevin's Arcade and all the others. I take my hat off to them. They're keeping our history alive, aren't they? And I always wonder what drives them. What is that big driver? I mean, it's time and effort. They don't get paid for it. It's all volunteer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good on them.
They're passionate.
Yes, exactly.
We like passionate people.
We do too. Now, David, you are a baby boomer. I can see that.
I've got the hair to prove it.
Have you put a grey rinse through your hair? It's actually black, or you are a baby boomer. You're not a young man pretending to be a baby boomer.
No, I'm definitely a boomer. I'm right in the middle of the segment.
What was the wonderful year you entered this wonderful country called New Zealand?
1955.
Oh, you're right in the middle, aren't you?
Right in the middle.
Yeah, so born in Dunedin?
Yep.
And what's the pathway to you being in Dunedin, working with the Auckland Council?
Well, I grew up in Dunedin and in Central Otago, and very early on, if you lived in Naseby in the Maniatoto, there was only 124 people there, and had this great desire to see the world. And fortuitously, I met a woman who shared that passion, and so we loaded everything up into a 850cc Mini in the late 70s, and off we went to explore the world. 28 years in the tourism sector, and that was my real passion. I've been involved in everything from Rugby World Cups and America's Cups and a whole lot of events in New Zealand, and at the end of the Rugby World Cup decided it was time to move on, and I thought I was actually going to take it easy, but this job came along, and I thought, well, I'll give that a go for a few years.
Now, of the two great events, the America's Cup and, of course, the World Cup Rugby, what's your fond memories? It's now 3 years ago since World Cup Rugby. Where were you in that last 20 minutes of the World Cup? Because that was if we hadn't have won that game, everything would have fallen very flat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I was in the stand, the west stand on the big scaffolding right up the back. My wife and I bought tickets for that final, and we were up there, and when Beaver took that kick, it started, I was watching it because we were right behind, and it started off out to the right, and it bent back in. Oh my God, thank God for that.
Yeah.
So that was a wonderful moment. But I suppose one of my highlights for the Rugby World Cup was working on it for the 4 years leading up to it, is to be able to market around the world, New Zealand and our Rugby World Cup. And now, of course, the biggest project was that I was responsible for was the giant rugby ball. So
you're responsible. Oh, what a great idea that was, wasn't it?
So we took that to
whose idea was it?
Paris.
The idea?
Well, it was a combination of it's Tourism New Zealand wanted to do. Initially, it was going to be a three-dimensional billboard, and then I've used a Mike Mizrahi, who's another Inside Out Productions based here in Ponsonby Grey Lynn. A brilliant creative. Mike said, "Oh, if we're going to do that, why don't we put something inside it?" And just sort of went from there. And we ended up with inside it. Yeah. 220 people in 2 bars, being good Kiwis, and we managed.
You had to have a bar.
Yeah, we managed to get approval to put it up under the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and then we took it to London, Tokyo, Sydney, and of course down on the waterfront here at Auckland. So that was one of the great, memorable
that was a coup.
projects.
That was a wonderful coup.
That was great.
Now, what about the next one? I know we're digressing. We're going all over the universe here, but. We'll come back to the festival. What's your feelings on the next the Rugby World Cup, David?
The team's looking good.
Yes, it is.
And they seem to be getting quite a bit. I don't want to mention rotation again, but they seem to be blooding new people and trying people in different positions. But it seems to be reasonably positive.
We can't possibly tell everybody on a short interview about. But I think what you have to do, there's a wonderful website, isn't there? So it's heritagefestival.co.nz.
That's right.
And everything you want to know about the festival is there.
Yep. Yeah, and it's there's a good timetable in there. If you can look at a variety of elements and go through the whole thing on the web, or you can get that brochure at any of the information centres and libraries.
Yep.
So yes, so the festival started on the 27th of September.
Yep.
And it runs for the 2-week period, 3 weekends through the school holidays, and finishes up on the 12th of October. But there's still with a week to go.
Time. Yep.
There's still a lot of really good things to do.
Yeah.
So one thing that I thought was just my little pick for if you've got grandchildren and you're looking after them in the holidays, as us baby boomers have. I've only got one grandchild, and hopefully some more soon. Is down at the Papakura Museum. There's a really good one called Horse Tales. Now, in World War I, which is one of our themes this year, it's 100 years. Did you know that there was 10,000 New Zealand horses went away to the World War I, the Great War? Only 4 came back.
Isn't that sad?
So what they've got down there is they're celebrating and acknowledging the horses that went, and so they've got displays, but they've got this opportunity for the kids to make a horsetail, wristlet. Yeah. And so they can go down there. You can find about the history of that, but also then the kids can do something active. So that was sort of a little pick, and that's on between the 7th and 9th of October.
Now, speaking of heritage, once again. Something wonderful is happening with our heritage in Auckland. This is a biggie. A Lockdale House is all the refurbishment. It's just about over, and it's all. Well, when's it opening? On the 1st of November?
It's opening on the 1st of November. Built in the 1930s, and it's had a really checkered history. Was originally the Titirangi Hotel. Then it was a nightclub.
Yes, I heard that. It was a nightclub.
And it's been. Then it was a school for the deaf, and then an educational training facility. But the great thing is that it's been fully renovated.
Yeah, and refurbished, and there's a new section added on as well.
A new gallery's been built beside it. So there's going to be gallery space, a theatre. There'll be a fantastic restaurant. I've been inside it. It's wonderful spaces.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite top. So on Saturday, the 11th of October, just a quick plug for the Heritage Festival. There's a presentation and a preview at 3 o'clock.
What's that date again? Saturday,
the 11th of October.
October.
3 o'clock. You can go up there, get an overview and a tour prior to opening. So that's another recommendation.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, David. Well, Auckland Council, I think you're doing a wonderful job looking after the festival because it does need somebody to glue it all together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Because they'd all be going off in different directions, doing their own thing. But what you've done is you put it all together. Wonderful job.
Good.
David,
Thank you.
enjoyed every moment of it.
Great.
See you soon. Thanks, David.